Constitution, and as your assemblyman, he will be your voice. He'll never let you down, make him rejoice. Hallelujah, hallelujah. We finally had a man who hears your voice. Hallelujah, hallelujah. Tim O'Connor is the only choice. Write in Tim O'Connor, Libertarian, for New York State Senate, Senate District 51.
All right. Hey, guys, it's September 22nd, 2020, and I was supposed to do an interview with a kid tonight on YouTube, but he for some reason, I don't know, my cheese is too strong for him. But like, hey, a big shout out going out to my friend Harold Mark Jordan and the Gideons, Hot Vent. He is a great guy. He obviously volunteered some time there to help me out and make this show a little bit more interesting. John Chickarell, buddy, how are you? Anything what, man? What are we talking about? Like, can you be more specific? And thanks, man. How are you? I'm glad you joined in the show tonight. I appreciate it. Remember, guys, the likes, the shares, the comments. That's why I do this. That's why I enjoy this. It's a blast to get on the air with you guys and talk to you and talk to a bunch of you and try to answer your questions. And sometimes I get stumped, but here we're having some fun on a Tuesday night. And so that's what we're doing. I am the man. You're the man, brother. You don't know. I knew you didn't know. Guys, remember, guys, here's the deal. I'm a libertarian, but remember, success is not final. Failure is not fatal. It's the courage to continue that counts. And that's why I'm literally sitting here asking you guys to write me in for Senate District 51. The bottom line is, guys, as you know, I went around and I got the petition signed and I asked people and I drove like 1,200 miles finding libertarians in Senate District 51 to help me get on the ballot. And unfortunately, I made a slight error in that. They were able to prove I didn't know who I was and I didn't know where I lived, man. So check that out. Hi, Shelly. Awesome. Hey, I want some more information from you on that situation when we get some time. We will figure things out, and I want to, do a show about it or something like that. Talk about these issues, these ongoing issues. You stump? Never. I know. Ask me the questions, guys. Big thing coming up here in Otsego County, guys. I got a vote or a public hearing on raising the 2%, allowing the county to raise the property tax in Otsego County by more than 2%. Legally, it's the law. Handed down by Cuomo and the Democrats, and a few Republicans all agreed like we should limit our property tax caps to 2%. Obviously, yeah. Well, I'll be back on Friday though, brother. I'm pretty sure. I got some things to do. I might do tomorrow night too. I'm going to try. Yes, I will do that. So we'll get back to this 2% property tax cap thing. As I've mentioned before, there's good news and bad news with that. Number one, it's a state law that all counties can't raise their property tax more than 2%, or they face fines and punitive damages from the state, which is ridiculous, right? The state fines a county for, it's just kind of like a circular firing squad that we constantly see set up when we beg our big government leaders for permission to do things. So anyways, the 2% property tax cap, obviously everybody's upset about it because they don't want their property taxes going up more than 2%. The interesting thing about it, guys, that I find as a localist, as a guy libertarian who wants to bring things back local, and we'll go into my platform, I want to bring decision-making local, okay? I think that that's important. I think that that's one of the ways that we can craft solutions moving forward. And as we see our state going bankrupt, guys, like, let's not pretend that going from a $6 billion deficit to a $60 billion deficit, that there's any way we're going to be able to claw this out. That's $60 billion for this year alone. That means even if we make up that $60 billion, let's say Trump by some miracle bails out Cuomo and gives him $60 billion. Who honestly, show of hands, who think that's going to happen? It's not. All right. So basically 2% maximum cap. Yes, you can raise property taxes in Otsego County and most of the counties in New York State by only 2% because New York State government made a law that says you can only raise property taxes by a certain amount per year. And so what happens is if you violate that, you can incur fines that you have to pay to the state, which again, guys, I don't know, stuff like that cracks me up. It's like circular firing squad kind of stuff. So basically now Otsego County, we can make a law that says, well, we don't have to listen to the New York State law. We can raise our property taxes by more than 2% so we don't incur these fines. So basically, that's really bad news, all of that. They're going to try to do that. They're going to try to convince everybody that's in their best interest to raise property taxes by more than 2% so that we save fine money that we would have to pay to the state. The issue that I like about it, guys, is that the Otsego County Board now knows that they have to be able to circumvent New York State law, that we have the right to govern ourselves. And so, and I think that the Otsego County 2A guys are right on top of this. All right. I think they realize now is the time to strike with the petitions that they have. They have 4,000 or 5,000 people that signed these petitions about making Otsego County a Second Amendment sanctuary, which means that they can limit the ability of red flag laws to be prosecuted and all of those things. So that Otsego County 2A guys are making a big move right now. They're going to present the Otsego County Board with these things. So the 2% property tax cap increase is a problem. It's annoying. All we're doing is chasing people out of New York State. All we're doing is chasing businesses away. And literally these guys think that they don't know the reasons why. They don't realize that taxes in New York are too high, that we're overregulated, that we're overburdened with everything from virtue signaling to how much insulation we've got to put in the house, to our property taxes, to the lack of being friendly to businesses, guys. And that's a problem. Yes, the government suing the government. It's hilarious. It's just like when the DC finds like some state county workers for dumping stuff in the stream. I mean, it makes sense. They got to get punished somehow, but guess who pays that bill? It's not the government that pays that bill. It's everybody. Our taxes go up. They fine our counties. It's kind of ridiculous. Again, the likes, the shares, the comments, that keeps me doing this, guys. I see there's people out there. I see we got some likes and guys, the comments really, I love them. So I appreciate them. Nope. I must have missed something there, Dan. All right. In Chicago, a couple of years ago, the pension program was crashing for retired city workers. They raised the property tax by 1% in Chicago, average annual increase 3%. In response to tons of housing values plummeted 26%. You can do a simple, and that's a great point, right? We can do a simple affordability test, right? You go to the bank to borrow money to buy a house. Okay, if the taxes are $2,000 a year and the house is $100,000 and you're making $25,000 a year, you can afford the house. If you go to the bank and the house is $100,000 and taxes are $4,000 a year on it, you can't afford the house. It's simple mathematics. It drives down the price of houses and it forces people to leave. The other thing is, guys, $4,000 a year. We talk about affordable housing in New York State as being a predominant primary issue. The number one piece of your rental is property taxes. It's school taxes and property taxes, period. So if you're paying $5,000 a year in rent to live in a house and $3,000 of that is property taxes and school taxes, guess what? Nobody's going to want to rent you the house. $2,000 isn't enough money to pay your mortgage and keep the place up to speed. It's not enough money to maintain the property. Thank God. Where's this? In Kentucky, brother? Truth. I try to tell the truth, man. I try. Yes. Nailed it. Thank you, buddy. I appreciate that. And then they try to blame the exodus on the weather. That's because Cuomo is, honestly, guys, here I am, just a redneck living in upstate New York. I mean, I managed to get myself through a good college. Don't get me wrong. But when I hear Cuomo talk, I feel like I'm listening to one of the most unintelligent guys in the room, man. Okay. I love it. All right, great. Trump, the best for North America. Jair Bolsonaro, the best for South America. Okay. Trump is great. That's fine. I have no problems with people that like Trump. there are times when I defend Trump. There are times when he makes me laugh. There are times when I feel like he does the right things, Vittorio. He's an interesting guy. He's done some good stuff recently, as far as lowering prescription drug prices basically the mechanism that he used I like, because we can now import drugs from Canada where they were already selling them for cheaper. And so to me, that's an interesting step. It's a good thing. He's done some good things. He's funny. I'm voting for Joe Jorgensen, guys. All my conservative friends, I love you. I know you're looking for representation. I think if you've liked some of the things that Trump has done, I think you will love some of the things that Joe Jorgensen would do. And in New York State, they're going to tell you, and guys, I feel like it's not a truth that somehow New York State is going to turn red for Trump. I got to be honest with you guys. I don't even see that as being possible. 5 million people in New York City that vote are not going to change their mind about Biden. The people in Albany are not going to change their mind about voting blue no matter who. The people in Binghamton, a lot of people in Buffalo, they're not going to change their mind about voting blue no matter who, okay? So I believe New York State is going to go blue. It's going to go to Biden. That's real. That gives us an opportunity to vote gold, guys, and to vote for Joe Jorgensen, because that can help us keep ballot access. That can help us grow this concept of a third party. And why do we want to grow a concept of a third party? Why am I dedicated to that notion, guys? And I think some of you guys know why, but the reality is, when we are looking for representation, when we are seeing basically, again, I wish Ryan Bedford was in there, but when we're seeing Coke versus Pepsi arguing on a national stage just to keep RC Cola out of the mix, what they do is marginalize third parties, and they do it on purpose. Hey, Jerry. Oh, yeah, I don't know how high they're going to raise the property taxes, but the budget is a disaster up in New York. The state makes agreements with the counties to reimburse them for decisions that they make, that the state wants them to make. But then they only reimburse for part of it. So if they want a bus line, they say, look, we'll give you $200,000 to buy a bus. You just got to hire a guy to run the bus, okay? Which is how we start looking to the state for permission to do things. They bribe us first, and then they saddle us with the ongoing maintenance and the ongoing bills associated with that. So eventually those asset infrastructure improvements that the state, that they claim are asset infrastructure improvements and providing quality of life, end up costing the taxpayers in said county. This time we're talking about Otsego County. They cost us a lot of money over time. We don't get the money back from the state. And right now, the state isn't even keeping up on its bills and on the grants. It's all promised. So just so you know, well, and how can they're not supposed to be able to deficit spend. How is all of a sudden New York State supposed to, by law, start deficit spending? Yeah, no, up here. Yeah. I don't know that honestly, I really don't know what the final results are, because, and again, in Otsego County and Delaware County and kind of Schoharie County, we lost our biggest industries in these areas are tourism. They were wiped out this summer. So not only were bed taxes wiped out in Otsego County for the most part, but there's some $95 million worth of payroll that gets paid out to people that work during the summer for our baseball camps. And I don't know if you probably don't know this, Kentucky kid, but basically here, we're minutes away from the Baseball Hall of Fame. So what we have are big, huge complexes where people come from all over the country and all over the world to have 12-year-old kids play baseball against other 12-year-old kids. And it is a mammoth industry, and it's our only industry because New York State is so fervently chasing industry out of the state constantly. That's how we make our tax money. That's how we meet our budgets. That's how we sales tax, people coming to our communities and buying stuff, bringing bed taxes, bringing their kids here for entertainment and excitement. And we lost that this summer. So I guys, we have no idea where the budget's going to land. They said something about the Otsego County budget's going to be down $20 million. I don't see it only being down $20 million. I'll be honest with you. We lost so much business. All right. What happens if Biden dies before the election? I don't know. I'm pretty sure Kamala just gets inserted. But that would be a good question for somebody like a political science major. I'm not a political science major. I'm an economics guy and I'm a philosophy guy. But I imagine that the vote would be still, Joe Biden's name would still be on the ballot, but we would know that as soon as, if the vote blew, no matter who still wins, Kamala Harris would be the president. Excuse me for. And guys, if you think Hillary Clinton had a creepy authoritarian vibe, I don't think you've seen anything yet when it comes to Kamala Harris. When I hear her talk, man, she is literally terrifying. I like to joke about stuff like that. I like to exaggerate about stuff like that. And I like to laugh about stuff like that. But she scares me, man. I'm not even kidding. And Joe, I feel bad for what they're doing to Joe Biden. I'm not even gonna lie. I don't even want to make fun of the guy right now. I will though. Not right now though. But man, I just don't think it's right. I'd love to be president, man. Could you imagine just some redneck yokel talking trash and trying to save the world? I mean, there's a very simple place to start, right? There's going back to the first 10, the Bill of Rights and the Constitution. And there's so many laws that have perverted and messed that stuff up. And so if we could get back to some of that, sound monetary policy, guys, they literally print money to make poor people poorer and rich people richer, and it's got to stop, man. We change the value of money so fast that we don't even see it. Now, technological advancement over the years has balanced it out, okay, which is great. When we increase productivity, cost of goods can go down because we're more efficient. We've hidden some of the devaluation of the money by providing people with TVs and computers, which is okay. One party trusts your decisions. Two parties believe they make better decisions for you than you. Yes. And so we need to add a third party to the mix because we will have better Republicans. Republicans are supposed to be the party of smaller government. That's what they promise us. Now, in New York, I don't believe we've seen a Republican actually fight. And I know some of you guys have some favorite Republicans. That's great. Okay. And there are some Republicans in New York that are offering their constituents representation. Okay, so that's fine. Dave DePiro, somewhere down towards Binghamton, I think he's a nice guy, and he was aghast at the vote to give Cuomo the executive power. Everybody but 6 or 7 people voted to give him this executive power. And I know that the people had promised that they would come back and re-legislate it after a certain amount of time, and that was obvious that they didn't do that. And I don't understand why the people that are running and the people that are there in the New York State Assembly and the New York State Senate are not literally having fits about this, offering us representation, encouraging us to even talk to assemblymen and senators from other districts and say, you guys need to do a better job because you are not representing anybody. And no matter what, any section of the country except for New York City, any section of New York State except for the city, there's a reasonably close balance between the kind of people that want to be represented. So 50% of them are very liberal, 50% of them are reasonably conservative, right? So you still have to balance out that representation, and none of them are doing it. Unfunded mandates. There should be a war on unfunded mandates. And right, I went into how they basically trick you into accepting an unfunded mandate. They give you a big, huge grant to start, right? And then they peel back the grant and they don't maintain that grant. That's why you end up getting money to build a bridge in your county from New York State, but they don't do anything to maintain it. I started looking through Kentucky's and I'd rather eat glass. Oh, I'm not sure. I get rambling and ranting on, and Kentucky's laws, probably. Kentucky Kid, you're going to save Kentucky, man. You, Thomas Massey, Rand Paul, you guys are going to get things done, man. Really? That's awesome. Congratulations. That's neat. That's neat brush with fame. Guys, I met Carl Yastrzemski. I waited on him. Who else? Is it Dick Gordon? There's a Seattle Seahawks guy. Frank Robinson. Also waited on him. Wonderful guy. Really, really, I'm not even kidding. Really, really nice guy. Carl Yastrzemski, really, really nice guy. Guys, I used to be a restaurant guy back when I was a kid. I used to love it. being that I was a poor farmer kid, I needed to make money during the summers, and even actually while I was going to school. So one of the things I did was do a lot of restaurant work, and met some great people, especially right here in Oneonta, famous baseball people like Carlos Yastrzemski and Frank Robinson. And it was wonderful. I even met Lou Carnesecca. He came up. I don't know if you guys remember him. He was coach of St. John's basketball back in the day. He came up to do I guess he was like a guest speaker at a lecture that we had at one of the restaurants I worked at. And it was very cool. These guys are very friendly. They're very human, you know? So they raise your taxes to ensure the government employees retired continue to get paid and spend their money in Florida while Florida gets 2 of your electoral votes. That is, I don't know if I could have said it better myself. We raise taxes, we chase people out of here. And then the New York State has a STAR program, and this is with all due respect to people that are slightly older than me that have made a life in New York State. And they expanded the STAR program to reach more people. But basically, if you're old enough, they start giving you a discount on your property taxes. And so it's like, well, are we surprised that the kids leave and the older folks stay? And guys, you know my own personal story. I've told that enough on here, but there's not enough economic opportunity to keep my children here. There's not enough economic opportunity to keep your children here. It's really that simple. Okay. It is what they're doing to Joe Biden, guys. He did. He served. Okay. Let's lay it out there, right? I don't want to make fun of him, but he made some laws. He enacted some laws. He advocated for laws that were incredibly racist, that had incredibly negative impacts on communities. And guys, when I talk about racism, we're talking about in upstate New York. It's hard for us to understand systemic racism. We've seen racism. Okay. We've seen maybe some of our black friends, and I hate to say even I try really hard to never be racist, so I don't even want to say black friends, but we've seen our friends get prosecuted because people suspected them. But to move people around in a city, to take their businesses and places where they can make money and move them across town and move them out to suburbia and stuff like that, that is a systemic structural racism. And guys, with all due respect to Joe Biden, he participated in it, man. To crack down on kids for selling marijuana in the city and the for-profit prison system and all of those things have contributed to that. It is, man. It is. Thanks, bud. Opie Desvoot. I'm asking for people to write me in for New York State Senate District 51. It's the heart of upstate New York. It's literally the size of square footage wise, square acreage wise. It's like the size of Connecticut. It's a former agricultural powerhouse. We used to make milk everywhere. We used to grow food everywhere. And so now we're looking at a land use deficit on the order of 50, 60,000 acres. I'm advocating for complete deregulation and legalization of hemp. Some, almost no regulations on marijuana. I want it to be able to be grown by people who can make some money. I want my farmer friends to be able to have a cash crop, right? I want to be able to sell hemp. I want to be able to sell marijuana. And so people talk to me about hemp and they're like, well, your advocacy is great for, treating farmers like entrepreneurs, but hemp doesn't always work out where people make money. So that's why farmers need choices. That's why we have to give them rights. If they want to build a couple houses on their property right along the road, they've got to absolutely be able to do that. Back in 2008, we had a little tiny housing boom in upstate New York, and counties were going crazy. They wanted to make sure farms stayed intact, so they started telling farmers they couldn't subdivide their property without subdividing it out into 5-acre lots. And it's like, well, they don't want to give up 5 acres. They want to build a couple houses and make a little bit of money. Pete Lopez was great. Trump took him. That's correct. Budget. Everything's a budget. Everybody, every little petty any bureaucrat, politician, town board, they're forced to serve the next level budget. So we see it in our local communities. They got to answer to the county. The county's got to answer to the state. And so what happens is we've no longer have we localized anything. All right. Everything is through permission from what we perceive to be a higher level. And what I'm explaining is Article 9 of the New York State Constitution and the United States Constitution allows us to govern ourselves, period. And that starts with a budget. And guys, I would literally start with going around to every town board and be like, look, you guys got a lot of work to do. You got to pay yourselves more, period. What you get paid is more important than what comes back to you from the state. Bottom line, your neighbors want you to do this job so that their communities grow, so that our schools don't die. Pay yourselves, because there's a lot of work. There's a lot of complicated years and years of like weird conflicting zoning and weird conflicting land use rules. And so if you've got the right person, you can go in and get something through in a heartbeat. If you've got the wrong person, you can sit on an idea for years and lose tons of money. And guys, in New York, nobody in their right mind is going to bring a business here without some sort of bribe from New York State. That's period. Okay. We have seekers and like all sorts of things that got to get filled out. And then we've got the codes to fight with. And that's all before you've got to find a piece of property if you want to put a business on it, or you got to find a building before you put a business on it. And you've got to make an arrangement to pay for that business or building or whatever you want to do. And then you're still running the risk of it never getting approved by anyone. It's a problem. Yes. Slinging hash is an unavoidable teen career in rural areas. It was the only way for me to make ends meet, or even come close to making ends meet, when I was, let's see, I started my first restaurant job at the Holiday Inn. I was 17, bussing tables, went to college. First year I did work study, stuff like that. Believe me, that didn't even put gas in the car that I didn't have. So the next summer I worked at a place called Cathedral Farms. It's now Cooperstown All-Star Village. And so I waited on tables there, and I did really well, and I fell in love with that kind of business. So because you make really good money for not a lot of hours, it's fun. And you get to meet people and you get to talk a lot. And then eventually, of course, I worked my way into a bartending position, and then I bartended down in Binghamton when I moved off campus, and managed to get a rocking job in a hopping bar. And I think I was a little distracted from school. Not that college was for me anyway, guys. I mean, I got through. I did good. I did okay. I passed everything. I have an official degree from Binghamton University. And so those things are important. I did hard work to get through college. I did a little bit of hard work to get through college besides just working. And so those things, I've been watching how New York State chases people away and how that affects our young people leaving. And it's real, guys. And I apologize to some of these younger people, some of these millennials and these Generation Zers, that I think I could have had an impact on politics had I started sooner, but I got to start somewhere. And so I'm starting now. Forgive me. And guys, again, let's go back to the likes, the shares, the comments. That's also the biggest reason why I'm doing it. I'm offering to break up the Republicans and the Democrats in Senate District 51. I'm looking to represent the conservatives, the people in the middle, the people that see that the government isn't serving us anymore, that we're not getting representation, that we talk about virtue like quality of life. And this is with all due respect to the idea. We run buses all over Otsego County and they're empty. Now, I have an idea. We would have to put some numbers to it. But like, let's open it up to kids who want to do a side hustle, right? If you got a car and you manage to get it on the road and you want to run an Uber, we don't want to deny people that need transportation, right? But we want to be able to save money while we do it. So, and we want to put money in kids' pockets, young people's pockets, people that would do that job. And I think it would help. So between paying our local boards more and having more kids say, wow, get an extra $5,000 a year to work twice a week, even though they have no idea that people will be calling them and reaching out to them on Facebook and all that other stuff. It would be great. It would offer some competition. It would offer some motivation. It wouldn't be just altruism, even though if they're interested, it would be good for our communities, guys. It really would. Trust me. If we paid these county boards more, it would be good. I go to town board meetings and I see the people and they've been doing it for years and their names have been on these things for decades, their family names. And it's great that they do that work, that shuffling the paper and stuff like that. But we need some proactive kind of kids that are going to go ahead and take this on, right? Shelly, let's go over that. Exactly, right? They create something that looks like it's a deal, then they got to raise your taxes anyway because they can't cover it's a shell game, right? What the government does with Star and what they do with some other tax cuts. And if you guys want to if you guys want to talk about one of the things that drives me crazy is pilot programs. I do want to talk about that, but let me get through some comments first. So hang in there. All right. So the shell game, it's a government shell game, man. Totally. It's everyone. We are all created equal. That's correct. Civil asset forfeiture is another one of Joe Biden's contributions to government, guys. It really is, man. Farmers are losing out right now. It's sad. Yeah. I got a personal story, man. My younger brother, his dad owned a farm over in Franklin and whatever. He wanted to be an all organic certified farmer and helped him do all the work. And, he bought himself 30 or 40 cows. He cashed in his retirement and all this stuff. And so basically he can't find anybody to come buy his milk anyway. And I tried talking to him about it. It's like, if you think about it, milk is on the way out because as you get older, you can't really digest it anyway. And so now, I guess over the last 5 years, 10 years, something like that, milk consumption's decreased like 40%. So, thanks, brother. Cuomo brought in a yogurt factory with a 10-year tax break when they bought all their dairy from Canada. Absolutely. And Shelly, I got a story that goes all the way back to his dad, right? Mario Cuomo set up enterprise zones all over New York State, and he would give out pilots to big companies that want to come in here. So here in Otsego County, they landed a contract with Sanyo Sewing Corporation. And so Sanyo's a Japanese firm. They came in on the island, they built a nice factory, and they got a heck of a deal on their taxes, their property taxes and stuff like that. And so 10 years to the day when the pilot runs out, they basically close up shop, head back to Japan. See you later, suckers. Thanks for nothing. And so it took years to fill that building with a successful business. And now that building was well built. It is owned by a guy that's doing a good job there. But yeah, that's one of the problems with pilot programs. Thanks, brother. I love you too, man. All right. If the county board minus the ones that don't want to increase the property taxes, there will be a massive exodus or they might lose their elections, quoting, get it together. Yeah. They're going to go to, well, it makes sense to get rid of the 2% property tax cap. It doesn't. It makes sense to reinvent government. And that's a big job. And we can't do it. They're not going to be able to do it with the mindset that they have right now. Period. All right. Their mindset has to change. And I'm here to help them do that. And so are you, Andrew, as you know, running for, town board supervisor out in Maryland. We are going to help these guys get better at what they need to do to help keep kids like you and my kids interested in living here. It's really that simple. Oh, I did that one already. Sorry, bud. It's a waste of time and money. It does. Well, the shell game eventually causes taxes to go up because they think they've got you on the hook. First car at 14 drove illegal for 2. Yeah. It teaches. We worked our butts off, me and my brother, on that farm. And we did. We drove whenever we wanted to. They gave us a car, so we could get out of bed and go. The barn was like a half a mile from our house. We'd try to get up to 80 miles an hour. Nah, whatever. You know what I mean? We're on a dirt road. We were kids. We had a cool car to drive around. It was fun. That's one of the things about life in rural America. I don't know if people that live in the city understand, Farmers are constantly getting screwed over by all three branches of the government, senators, assembly, county, and municipal. All right, you're missing. Yeah, farmers are constantly getting screwed over. They still got to pay property taxes, even though we give them, if they're producing food, we give them a substantial break. So one of the things I was kind of Twittering with a guy, basically when it comes to pilot programs, and this is something that's always gotten me, right? You give a business a pilot program. Let's say it's just a 700-foot tall windmill over in Shenango County. All right. So you let these guys come in. You give that windmill company a pilot program for every windmill that they put up. Okay. And then they take that money and they give it directly to the county and to the school. And then that money, what about the businesses that have made a living there? What about the farmers that have built businesses there? Like, let's just use Otsego County as an example. There's two businesses here. Let's say a new business wants to come in, and all of a sudden they get to pay a tax rate equal to a quarter of what the businesses that have been here paying people and building their product for generations. These guys come in because it's a new business. Number one, I think you guys all get what I'm getting at. It's not equitable. It's not fair. Number two, they then take that pilot money, and because it's directly generated, they can directly direct how much goes to where. So if they say, let's say it's 50 grand, they can say 40 grand goes directly to the school district, 10 grand goes to the county. So it's 50 grand a year. That's how they might break it up. For example, just to offer an example. So there's that 40 grand when it goes to the school district. Do you guys ever think it ever gets used to lower school taxes? Because schools operate off of baseline budgeting. So it doesn't. Okay. So we have businesses that have been in our areas for generations. And this sparked this thought. I was talking to a guy out of Lockport who has a family business, and he's mad that they're bringing, not mad. He's a good guy. It's just like they're bringing in windmills and they're granting these big, huge windmills, these payment in lieu of taxes kind of deals. And the money, number one, it's like I said, about a quarter of what he would pay if he generated that kind of revenue on that kind of structure. And number two, the money doesn't benefit anybody but the person, but the schools, and the schools don't pass it back to the people. So you have a situation, let's say in Otsego County, where you get an 800-foot tall windmill by your house, and it makes noise and a low humming, and it makes your sun flicker for 3 hours a day because it's always interfering with the sun. And you don't get a tax break because of that. The pilot program, the money goes to the county and the school. So your taxes stay the same or continue to go up, especially in the situation that New York is in. So what good are these things that they bring in and they offer these programs to? We've got to do something if we want these things to be successful to lower taxes here, period. And we're not going to. We have a whole, guys, as a libertarian, we've got a whole mindset that's got to be changed. It's a battle, but I'm willing to do it. That's why I'm here at 8:00 on a freaking Tuesday night to have a conversation with you guys, to offer you the opportunity to vote for me. And not because I'm necessarily the best guy, but because we need those kind of options. Nuclear electricity. Yeah, we should rewrite the nuclear regulations with nuclear scientists so that we can understand Generation 4 nuclear electricity and understand that if we implement it correctly, we can have a localized power generation plant that costs us practically nothing to maintain, because Gen 4 nuclear energy with thorium is the safest. It almost can't poison the environment. Nuclear reactors are the size of a house, but that's only because they got to protect the refrigerator inside the house. So it would be very interesting. We'd have a localized, redundant electric supply, and it would make the goal of cleaning up the environment through use of less fossil fuels way more affordable. And everybody would want to have a Tesla because electricity would be so reliable. It would ease the transition to electric vehicles by a ton. We used to have a ton of businesses and farms in the town of Maryland. Because of taxes and laws, there are very few businesses and farms left. It's sad, but I hope that we can really open up the concept that farmers should not have very many land use restrictions. I hope that we can open up a deregulation of hemp and marijuana, because there seems to be a big demand for those things. Those two things will help our farms, and will help people be interested in farming. The hops thing seems to be kind of flattening out. It was a nice bump for a couple of years, but it seems to kind of, craft beer kind of overshot its mark. But add hemp to it, craft beer, add people to it, craft beer will come back. We start finding ways for people to stick around. And of course, economic activity will help people stick around, and we simply do not have enough of it. And we don't need a $50 billion study to realize people are not going to spend money if they don't have a realistic hope of being successful and passing their business through. From farm to market, yes. In a town now, okay. Should we bring back farmer cooperatives, from farm to market? Example, I raised my children in a town that once supplied most of the farm cheese to New York City. Yes, we should do that. Everything that we can, but it should be farmer based. What happens is the milk cooperative got, I think, basically taken over by the government, or at least by a corporation that interacts with the government. If we can just do it locally and keep our farmer cooperatives as farmers and they have a salesman that sells their cheese, I think that would be a great idea. Did I say? I did say marijuana. I think that there's a high demand for marijuana, guys. I think I don't know. It seems obvious to me. I'm not a Republican that smokes weed, and that's why I'm a libertarian. I'm saying marijuana is a viable cash crop for our communities. Craft brewers are having Cuomo is an authoritarian train wreck. He seems petty. Liberty Ridge, though, just had an event with Larry Sharp and Victoria Alexander today. So they're back in business. That was one of the places that had got their license pulled preemptively because they were going to have an event. Hopefully they can figure out a way to sue New York State for that. So I do want to give a shout out to Ola Hawatma, guys. And you guys know, you've seen me talk to Ola, you've seen me talk to Victoria. I love both those. They're wonderful, locally minded people. I want to give a shout out to Ola. She made a decision recently that she is going to campaign for people that support her. And that, guys, is important to me. What she's doing is offering people representation. Why these people got excited about her? She's talking about local stuff. She's a single mom. She's been through some really, really, really tough times. So she is asking her friends that supported her, that were kind of like, oh, the Republican Party, we want to save the Republican Party, blah, blah, blah. I don't know how they're going to do that because the stories that they're telling me, no offense to my friends that are Republicans, but I don't know that I don't know. Hopefully it works itself out over a couple of years, because there are good people everywhere. Bottom line, there's Democrats that are good people. There's Republicans that are good people. So all of that stuff is real. And yeah, okay. Sorry. Got that one. Yeah, I did say marijuana. Craft brewers, good. Help farms get, that's the idea. Let them be more entrepreneurial minded. The other thing is, guys, I'd like to see some sort of program where we can, houses that can get reclaimed. We have hundreds, guys. This isn't just in the city of Oneonta. This isn't just in Cooperstown. We have hundreds, maybe thousands of properties that have fallen into disrepair and have been abandoned. Now, how do we reclaim them without lowering taxes for everyone? I don't know, but would it be a good idea? You guys let me know. Give me a shout out on that idea. Like, let me know what you think about if people are going to actively try to reclaim a property. Should the county or a jurisdiction or a town, should they find a way to lower taxes for those people? It would be interesting. It might help. It might help keep younger people here, especially if we could take a pilot program, like for a big, huge 700-foot windmill, take that money and use it to offset people who want to fix up houses or even tear down houses that are completely dilapidated. I don't sound like a libertarian on that, but I don't know. You got to get creative sometimes. Well, thank you, Andrew. I appreciate that. Ola is great. She is great. She's passionate about what she's doing. She's passionate about offering representation, and she's passionate about making a name for herself. And I think that's important. And I think that is part of what's missing. We get into these notions of a Democrat says, well, that guy lost. Let's all fall behind our candidate, because if we don't, we won't have party unity. And so then the Republicans, of course, do the same thing. And first of all, guys, and this with all due respect to everybody that has hopes, okay, Delgado, I do not think Delgado is he's a powerhouse. Actually, Trump actually likes him. Trump gave him some award, so he's not the worst guy out there. He's a humanitarian. So what happened to the whole rigmarole? And I've met Ola's competitor. I'm not going to mention his name. I shook his hand. He gives a good speech. I don't know, but Ola is intense. Ola cares about this community. I saw her in my friend's barns, and when she was campaigning, man, she's like going door to door, and she's like getting her signs out there. And she's excitable, she's excited, and she's passionate, and I appreciate that. All right, and that is not to take away from Victoria Alexander, who is literally a doctor, literally brilliant, has great ideas about decentralizing the power, localizing. Literally, guys, if you're a Democrat and you want to hear some ideas about how to localize stuff, how to the government can build certain things that are infrastructure wise and people will just pay for it out of their pocket, basically voluntarily paying it, and ranked choice voting. She's a big, huge fan of ranked choice voting. She has wonderful concepts. So I'm a libertarian. I'm a libertarian writer, and I can say whatever I want. I ain't going to win nothing anyway, so it doesn't matter. So I can stand for whatever I want, and I stand for Ola Hawatma and Victoria Alexander, period. And you guys figure out who you want to vote for. Talk to them both, because they'll both answer your questions. They'll both talk to you on Facebook. They will both give you time, and you won't get that anywhere else. I promise you that. Maybe you can. Okay, this whole mail-in voting thing, I don't know, brother. I think, honestly, you could probably work something out where you travel up from Kentucky to some place in Western New York where there's this big, huge, let's say it's a retirement home or something. Oh, you got to get to Senate District 51. Somewhere near Cortland, we'll find you a couple, population-dense areas like they do when they want to get a successful petition drive, okay? So let me expand on that because it's kind of funny, even though we're getting out to the amount of time. Let me expand on what I just said. There's a group of people that will go to an old folks home to have them. And look, guys, I don't take this the wrong way, because people that live in retirement communities have a right to say what they want to say, and they have a right to voice their opinion as to how the government's running. But they'll go to these population dense areas like a retirement home, and they'll say, oh, look, we need a petition against bomb trucks because they won't let us run a pipeline to get natural gas from somewhere to somewhere. So they drive it by tractor trailer. And so now they want to stop the bomb trucks, but not build a pipeline. And so they go to a population dense area and they convince them to sign these petitions. So I think that the mail-in ballot situation is going to work very much like that, isn't it? If you can go, first of all, the rules on campaigning near a polling location are suspended because it's people's houses, it's people's residences, right? So I'm not saying that it's fraud, but if you go there, give a little speech, you want to help people fill out their ballot and stuff like that, maybe you get a wink, wink, nod, nod, and all of a sudden, boom. Or maybe they just say, well, why don't you just fill it out for me, Bobby, and mail it in, It's uncomfortable for me. It really is. The mail-in ballots. It's uncomfortable. Not that people don't have a right to say what they want to say, guys. Don't get me wrong. Delgado's trying to tell us that he will help farmers. Yes, he literally created the Courier News Service. Shelly, did you see that? Guys, the Courier News Service is a total scam, period. All right? It's a campaign advertisement program for Democratic candidates, Antonio Delgado in this case, so he can get messages out that look good and look like news. And guys, my competitors both have done it as well. When they're saying breaking news from XYZ town, all right, that's a bogus campaign strategy, period. All right, it's not real news. If you read through the article, you'll see somewhere where it admits that it's an paid advertisement. So check it out. So Delgado and his Courier News is honestly, it's hilarious. And I'm not saying his ideas are bad, but it's like, hey, I'm going to go to the government and get you 50 million imaginary dollars. And then I'm going to, it's a function of the bureaucracy, and they use it like our money to campaign like they're doing us a favor. It's hilarious. I guess it's hilarious. I don't know. Sometimes I laugh. Sometimes I cry. I don't know. She has. Okay, and you mentioned his name. Okay, Ola has been active in her campaign with going to places compared to Groundhog Day, Vanderwater coming out when the moon strikes him, who is hardly or rarely ever seen. That's correct. I guess. I don't know. Like I said, I shook Groundhog Day Vanderwater's hand. He gave an okay speech when I saw him. But I like Ola. She's passionate, and I love her passion, and that's the reality. And she's great. And again, guys, right? Like I'm straddling the fence. You know what happens when you straddle a fence. I don't care. It's not like I can win this race anyway. They managed to get me off the ballot. Okay. So fine. I like Ola. I like Victoria. You guys check out the representation that they're both offering. Okay. It is epic for democracy. So yes, you are. That's bullshit. I'm not sure what I probably said something. Probably me. Wear a mask. Yeah, wear a mask. I feel bad, man. We could talk. We're 50 minutes. All right, let's spend a few minutes on COVID, guys. The directives are still changing regularly. Okay, the CDC says, "Oh, COVID's airborne," then the CDC says, "Oh, we were just kidding." It's like, literally, science has been politicized, guys. That's the bottom line. If COVID is aerosolized and airborne, okay, a mask isn't going to help you. Okay, it is if you're getting it from your saliva or somebody else's saliva because you spit on something, which is disgusting to think about. Okay, maybe a mask helps. I don't know. I wear a mask when someone asks me to wear a mask, and I can get in. They can get in trouble if I don't wear my mask. Other than that, it's like, and guys, just goes out to Oneonta, downtown Oneonta. If you make the mask requirements that you're thinking about making, that gives teeth to Andrew Cuomo's executive order on a local level, people will go to Norwich. Period. Okay. Our community is already going other places to shop because of the mismanagement of opening the college because New York State needed cash flow. Okay. That's why they did it. You can be mad at the president of the college. That's ridiculous. Okay. That college was opening no matter what. The test, and guys, 800 cases and no one ended up in the hospital. All right. Those kids should be able to live their lives. All right. And I get that you don't want to get COVID from them. I understand that. And so we should just work out that deal better. The schools were going to get opened, period. You can pretend that they weren't. You could pretend that the president made a mistake. The schools were getting open, period. Number one, the kids have a right to an education. Number two, our community needs that money. Number three, the state of New York and their education system needs that cash flow. Bottom line. All right. And so we had 0 hospitalizations out of a very minor COVID outbreak. And guys, the tests are inaccurate up to 27%, anywhere from 3 to 27% of the time. So if they do 5,000 tests, if it's 30%, that's 150 to, it's a large number of cases that they could be wrong by. So the bottom line is we have to relax. We have to interact with people. Make good decisions for you. If you have a comorbidity, if you have diabetes, if you have heart problems, make good decisions for you. Okay. There's towns that are not experiencing COVID outbreaks. Okay. Go there and shop. Those little towns can use that business anyway. Okay. Otsego could use, the stores down in Otsego could use it. Muddy River Dairy could use your business. Your neighbor could use your business. If your neighbor has eggs or meat, you can buy that stuff from them. I haven't heard that one, Shelly. I have to check that out. So guys, it's been 50 minutes or so. I appreciate it. Again, I want to give a shout out to my buddy, Harold Mark Jordan, for doing that opening thing. I hope you guys enjoyed that. I think it's hilarious. I think it's appropriate. I think it's exciting. So remember, guys, if you enjoyed this, give me a like. If you really enjoyed it, give me a share. If you want to donate some money, reach out to me reach out to me and donate some money, because I do need money to keep this stuff going. All right, what I'm trying to do. And I want to keep this going. Like, I want to move it forward through next election cycle too. So watch School System. We lost everything in our schools, pledge allegiance, everything our country stands for. Yeah. progressivism, guys. I'm not a big fan of progressivism. I think a little bit of conservatism is okay. We don't need to get upset over everything constantly, okay? Saying the Pledge of Allegiance to the flag is fine, all right? Getting upset over it is not fine, all right? We want to argue over Christianity. Literally, Christianity, Christian philosophy is at the root of every great decision that society has ever made. It doesn't mean you have to be a Christian. It doesn't mean you have to believe in Christianity. I'm not saying that. But the Christian philosophy of individual rights and individual responsibility and individual rights, guys, that is a Christian philosophy, okay? Even though you're supposed to submit to God and stuff like that. Individual rights, that the individual reigns supreme and has rights granted to them by God, that's Christian philosophy. That's what helped create the U.S. Constitution. And you're talking about history. You want to argue about 1619 or 1776. You're not even making sense, man. It's got nothing to do with nothing. Thank you for being here, Ken Williams. I appreciate that, guys. I really do. All right. I can't go on any longer, man, but I appreciate you all being here. I appreciate the likes, the shares, the comments, guys. It's important. It makes it fun for me. It makes me want to do it more, and it makes me want to work harder to offer my service to my community. And like I said, guys, this is just the beginning, okay? This is where it starts. We have to change the dynamics of how we think our government is supposed to work. The money is already running out. The government giving us money to give to siphon it through our local government and give it out to people, it's already running out. Nothing we can do about that. So we're going to have to rely on each other. I mean, let's maybe somehow, I don't know, man, maybe somehow they all come together and figure out a way to bail out New York State. I don't know. I don't see it happening. But anyways, guys, thank you very much. Again, success is not final. Failure is not fatal. It's courage, guys. Courage to continue, that counts. And like I said, I'm going to try to do this again tomorrow, but I'll definitely do it on Friday. And thank you all very much for joining me. I appreciate it. And